Hello and welcome. I'm DDF Racer and I got some free stuff in the post. A little company called ANSE3D got in contact with me recently and they wanted to hear my thoughts on the brand new Logitech magnetic shifter paddle mod. So they sent me one for free. Now just to clarify this one guys, I am not being paid to make this video. This is not some kind of sponsored effort. ANSE3D even said to me that I didn't have to make a video if I didn't want to, but if I did, and I quote, "If you hate it, be honest. No sugarcoating." So it's precisely what we're going to do right now. So the basics of this and the theory behind it is it's a little 3D printed component here that has some magnets attached to it. The whole purpose of this is to mount onto your Logitech wheel. And just to clarify, this is compatible with G25s, G27s, G29s, G920s and G923, the new one. Because let's be honest, Logitech have been making the same wheel for 15 years now, but that's another point. The whole point of this is that it mounts onto the column behind your steering wheel and sticks to your paddles, giving them more resistance. There's a definite click when you press them. There's no resistance really, you can kind of press them quite easily. I'd never thought about the paddles on my shifter, I'd never even questioned them because that's just the way it is. And with Logitech being the only wheels I've ever owned, it's just the way it's always been, you know? It's just the way the shifters feel. But this is, yeah, it increases the resistance, it increases the physical force needed to pull the gears, and just makes it a more of a physical experience. And at the end of the day, that's really all your sim racing input devices are about. It's a way of transferring the feelings from the car to you via pieces of plastic, electronic cables, and a monitor, or a VR headset in my case most of the time. You're sat in your seat, you haven't got the G-forces, you haven't got any of those physical sensations, the vibrations. This kind of thing it's a tactile upgrade. It's not going to get you any time on track whatsoever. This isn't going to suddenly be a magic bullet that gets you half a second. This is going to have absolutely no effect on your pace whatsoever. It's purely a physical upgrade that just improves the feel. It's a quality of life upgrade. So if that's something you're interested in, well, I mean, it's cheap. I mean, it's only $20, 20 Australian dollars. I'm not sure how that converts into different currencies. I put something on the screen right now, but for what it is, pretty cheap. So just to give you an idea of what the paddles are like at the moment, let me get my phone and give you a closer look. So here I am in my rig. There I am in my rig. This kind of Inception video style thing right now. And there's my wheel, there's my monitor. I'm obviously sitting here in my new Simitech K2 fancy rig, which I'll put a link on top of the screen somewhere right now. The wheel currently looks like this, and you can see the paddles here. Don't know if you can hear that, guys. I'm going to gradually, slowly press it now as well. It's kind of a point where it makes contact. It's a very soft travel, it's a very light click. So yeah, this just mounts onto the column and just gives it a bit more resistance. So, moral of the story I've learned from anything I've ever made is that you should always read the instructions. So, let's do that. Let's have a quick look at what ANSE3D sent over to me on how to mount this thing. Okay, well that seems simple enough. Okay, there we go. It is on. Let's turn the wheel upside down and put that bolt back in. Okay, so there we go. It's attached and it's all tightened up. So let's have a look at this and let's see how this feels. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's a lot more solid. That is a definite pull of the paddle. That's not like a click. You know you've changed gear when you pull this thing now. Wow, okay, it's a lot noisier as well. We're doing the whole rig Inception thing again. I'm over there. And let's bring you guys in. So this is the same view we had before. You can see how this thing is fitted now. Watch this. So I'm pushing, and then it just gives. There's a little bit of resistance now when you initially press the paddle down like that. So pushing, and there it goes. Pushing, there you go. So let's have a listen to this thing, guys. Let's hear the difference. Yeah, that's definitely a lot noisier, that. How does it feel to drive, though? I mean, physically it feels good, but how does it affect the driving? Well, let's go and fire up the sim and find out. Okay, so here we are on the track. Specifically Circuit Thermalito in the Copa Petrobras de Marcus cards in Automobilista 1. This is the exact same combo I'm using for my upcoming community event. Link on top of the screen somewhere right now. So I thought I'd get some extra practice in while I'm also testing out these new shifters. So, start the car. Ah, okay, I think I figured it out. I think I had the collar a little bit too close to the shifters, so they were constantly triggering, which is not good. So let me let me just adjust this and tighten this back up again now. It's scuffing against the base of the wheel, so I need to move it a little bit further back out. This is a little bit tricky than I thought. Okay, that's better. That's not constantly detecting a press now. So shift up and shift down. There we go. That's more like it. Let's go do some laps. Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not bad, but I just would have expected a little bit more resistance. Like, I can still half press the pedal in and not change gear. Maybe I just need to tighten up and move it forward a bit more again. Maybe there's a fine balance between having it too close to the paddles that it's constantly detecting a press, or having it too far away that the magnetic attraction to the metal of the paddle isn't enough. So let me just park it up and see if I can adjust it a little bit more. There we go, I think I found the happy medium. Alright, let's try again. Oh, that's heaps better. Oh, I'm not going to lie, that is quite a satisfying feeling. To be honest, it's not something I would have ever thought about before with the stock standard Logitech G29 paddles. Because you just get used to what Logitech offer you if that's all you've ever owned. It just feels a lot more sturdy. It just feels a lot more physical. Like I said in the intro of the video, guys, it has absolutely no effect on my lap time whatsoever, but it just adds that extra tactile layer to the whole experience. I am concerned by the increased noise levels though. I don't know if you noticed at the start of the video, but I have actually got, it's probably out of shot right here on camera right now, it's over here, a Fanatec shifter, and that's real clunky, that's real noisy, that's definitely not something you can use at 3 in the morning when you're racing with people on the other side of the planet. And this kind of brings the Logitech back into that realm. Although, to be honest, the gear-driven motor in the Logitech G29 doesn't really do itself any favors anyway. Unless you have your force feedback smoothing turned up quite a lot, you're going to get a lot of rattle in the wheel from the motors. Especially, for example, R-Factor 2, when you have a flat spot on the tires, or the tires start to wear down, that is notorious for vibrating a Logitech wheel. Which I know is a minor complaint really, it's first world problems, I'm nitpicking. In the grand scheme of things, I'd say this is pretty good, I'd say this is worth it. I mean, it's like I said, it's not that expensive either. Sure, you could spend your money on other things, but don't buy yourself a coffee for 3 or 4 days and you've saved the equivalent of this upgrade. But you will need an Allen key. That's for sure, a pretty small one as well. It doesn't come shipped with an Allen key, so you gotta have one of them lying around if you want to tighten up the bolt on this thing. Now, something's just become incredibly apparent to me over the course of this lap I've just been doing, guys. With headphones on, in the past, I couldn't really hear the paddles, and I couldn't really feel them either because, well, there's not much clickety-click in the default paddles for the Logitech. You kind of press it all the way in, and then it bumps up against the plastic, and you know you've pressed the gears in. But it's kind of a... You don't have a physical sensation of clicking a gear into place. You're just pushing a paddle and then it changes on the screen. Whereas with this, there's a very definitive, okay, I've changed gear now. Because when I've got my headphones on, you can't hear the click that you would normally hear if you're running on, say, speakers, or if you don't have the sound on. I mean, who races without the sound on anyway? That's... glorious revs! Glorious revs! I'm actually actively trying to think of bad things to say about it now. Because like I said at the start of the video, I'm not being paid by ANSE3D to play around with this shifter mod. I'm not being paid. This isn't sponsored. This was a freebie, and they encouraged me to talk trash about it. So let's think about the worst things. Okay, let's play devil's advocate. The setup was a little bit tricky. Well, was it really? I mean, you fixed it within 2 minutes. Oh, it didn't come with an Allen key. Some things don't. And to be honest with you, if you're into modding your gear, if you're into having those little tweaks and things, you're probably going to have a tool set around anyway, or at least know someone who has a tool set. And even if you don't, you could probably just use a chopstick or something to tighten up. You'll figure it out. You'll find a way. You're pretty ingenious. Okay, so what else bad can I think about it? It's noisy. Well, yeah, so is the fans on the computer. So is the pedals. If you're using speakers, So's the sound of the car. If a car drives past outside, that's going to make some noise as well. Okay, what else is there? The build quality, you can quite clearly tell it's been 3D printed. It doesn't have a fancy polish finish on it, but right now, I can't see it. It's behind my wheel. I have no visibility on it whatsoever. Like, I literally cannot see any of the attachment. It's completely concealed by the steering wheel that I'm using. So aesthetically that doesn't make a difference. I suppose it kind of falls into the same line of upgrades as a brake mod for the G29s. I mean, I'm not using my G29 pedals anymore really. I'm using the Fanatec V3 Club Sports, which are absolutely fantastic. If you were still using G29s, you might consider getting a brake pedal mod that stiffens up the brakes. You might want to change the springs. And this is the same kind of thing. It's a purely physical upgrade that just changes the way it feels. If you've got $20 lying around, would I recommend it? You know what, I would actually. Because it just immerses you in the racing that tiny little bit extra. It makes the G29 or G27 or G920 or whatever it is you're using, whatever Logitech wheel that's been rehashed over the course of the last 10-15 years, it just makes it feel like a little bit less of a toy. It's not an essential upgrade, you could quite happily live without it. But if you have the $20 lying around, and you're thinking of ways that you can improve your Logitech setup, this is a really cheap and easy way to do it. That's pretty much my thoughts on the whole thing, really. There's not much more to say. It's a little piece of plastic with some magnets in. There's not much more you can say, really. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. I hope it's given you a little bit of an idea of what this is, how to install it, whether you want to buy one or not. But as far as I'm concerned, it gets the DDF Racer seal of approval. Good job, ANSE3D. Good job. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for sending me this freebie. Now, if you are considering getting hold of one of these, I put a link in the video description. Go and check that out. I haven't got any kind of special use your DDF redeem code to get 5% off. Not yet, at the time of making this video anyway. Maybe you can hook me up there and say 3D with a commission code. Now that I'm a pro YouTuber getting freebies and all that kind of thing. Well, fake news. Turns out they actually did. Use the code DDF5 to get 5% off. Check out the video description if you want to maybe get hold of one of these guys, or maybe just do some more research. Make up your own mind. Don't let me tell you what to do. Apart from right now, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel, because I'm leaving this paddle mod on. I like it. This is a permanent feature now, and you're probably going to hear it clickety-clickety-click in the background of every race I do from now on. So yeah, you can thank ANSE3D for that. Anyway guys, look after yourselves, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all real soon.